Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I will be introducing you to Lee. Now Lee is a gentleman I met on one of my trips to Kenya. He, like me, was traveling overseas to Kenya to find a relationship. I'm not going to go into it too much because that kind of defeats the purpose of the video, but I hope you enjoy the interview.
Yeah, my name is Lee Green. I sell insurance, and I currently reside in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay. And why don't you go a little bit more into your background, your family, where you live? Did you grow up in Phoenix? Did you grow up with both your parents, your mom, dad, brothers, sisters, any of that?
Yeah, so I didn't grow up with both my parents. I didn't finish a college education. I just came from high school. I was born in New York, raised in Virginia, like Hampton Roads area, 757 area. And my mom and dad, they split up when I was like 3 years old, because of some. Let me not get into that one. And so yeah, my mom raised me by herself, and then eventually I left a lot of the things I didn't feel like I was doing right in Virginia, and I went to stay with my mom in Phoenix.
Okay.
Because that's where she moved to.
Okay. So what brought you to Kenya?
What brought me to Kenya right now is my wife.
Your wife. And how did you meet your wife?
So I met my wife. We were friends online, and then I fell in love with her, and then I decided to pursue her, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How long did you date before you decided your wife was the one?
So before I decided, before I sealed the deal, or before I came out here, I met her in March, and I came out here in September. But when I thought she was the one, it was very fast. Yeah.
And what was it about her? Because you'd only met her online. What was it about her that made you think, this is it?
To tell you the truth, bro, it was her spirit. This may sound like weird, but I had prayed, and I asked God because I had messed up in a lot of relationships before. Actually, before her, I dated someone in Kenya.
You did?
Mm-hmm. She was awesome. She's cool peoples, but something just didn't. There was just some things that just didn't work out for us, right? And I felt like I heard that as soon as I met my wife, I would like cry at her beauty. I'm thinking that was physical. But when I talked to my wife, she was just so pure, so gentle, so genuine, bro, I literally like, who is this? Like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, wow. And to this day, she's that woman, bro. I'm humbled by her. She makes me want to change who I am, like character-wise. So when I got to know her and the things that we talked about that we wanted to do for our future, it was like, that's it. This is what I've been looking for.
So you said that you dated someone before in Kenya. Mm-hmm. Were you always interested in foreign women, or, why didn't you decide to just date somebody back in the States?
I was always curious about foreign women, but I wasn't always like, oh, let me go get an African woman from Africa. Can you repeat that? What you said, the other part?
So you're dating. You married your wife. She's in Kenya. You had a Kenyan relationship before. Were you always solely interested in in foreign women, or is that something like you just decided on a whim? Like, why not date an American woman?
It's something that I found myself, the more and more that I started to look for what I wanted, right? And because man, I'm planning for the rest of my life, bro. You know what I mean? What that would look like, and culture-wise, and different things that I felt like we would be able to build something like a legacy. Then I started to become very interested in African women. Or different women, not just African, like Jamaican or whatever, but I became less comfortable with American women.
And why is that?
Because I had dated American women before a lot, and even though, okay, let me be 100 with you. let's take, for example, my church environment, okay? I'm going to try to give more of an example, like a real life example. So one thing is my lifestyle is a little bit, it may feel a little too strict for people. You know what I'm saying? I don't listen to certain things. I don't do certain things. You know what I mean? And in my church environment that I was going to at the time, I would be interested in women. Like, oh, she's hot. Let me see what's up with her. And as I get to dig in and see and learn about them, I'm like, man, that feels like compromise for my values. And that ended up being a trend. I'm not trying to say that there aren't good American women. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of women that I know that are friends to me that would fit that mold. But it just occurred so often, right? That I'm like, man, like, it's just the more African women I met that I just got associated with, I noticed they fit more of my values way more easier, just way more common. So that's why I ended up gravitating more this way.
So, can you describe one of your previous relationships with an American woman that, you know, might have pushed you towards not compromising as much?
Man, to my shame, I've had maybe too many relationships.
Too many?
Yeah. You know, so I don't know which one to pick. Either my ex-wife or my ex-girlfriend. It's difficult to talk about that. Because I don't want to shame them. Everybody's at different places, and they may think I'm the bad guy, right? But okay, I'll talk about my ex-girlfriend. Okay, it was a short relationship. Okay, this may seem very extreme, but I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna be 100. So I think as far as compared to a lot of my friends or people that I know, I mean, I may be a little bit too extreme with Christianity for them. I don't know what it is. But I don't like to listen to certain things or watch certain things because it makes me feel uncomfortable. And so I was in a relationship with my ex, and there were certain times where you hear music and then because I don't have sex before marriage personally, you know, I try to be celibate. God has helped me be celibate, right? I found myself, because of, even though she was a Christian, she didn't have the perspectives of submission, and even though she wanted it because she knew it was in the Bible we read, it wasn't natural for her, right? Because she was very independent. And then I found myself compromising my morals, like sleeping over the house, and even if I didn't have sex, like things that would push me towards moving outside of my boundaries of what I believe are my moral or my values that I hold to God, right? And so what I found out is that after having more women friends that are outside of the U.S., whether even if they have strong connections to their family ties here in Christianity, like they were less willing to compromise. They got me where I was coming from when it came to household structure and morals and me trying to be celibate. I didn't feel like I'm going to someone's house and now I might slip up and have sex with her. You see what I'm saying? So that was very important to me. You know what I mean? And if I can just skip back to my wife.
Your current wife or your ex-wife?
My current wife. My current wife.
Yeah.
My wife is 31 years old. No, 32 years old. I'll be 33 soon. Had never even kissed a guy on the cheek. I'm the first guy she even kissed on the cheek. You know what I'm saying? So, right, I'm not trying to say that I was looking for a virgin. That's not what I was looking for. But, bro, she just checks too many boxes. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't know if that answers your questions.
Yeah, so you mentioned your ex-wife. You were married before. What was your ex-wife in a similar vein as far as your values, or was that something that occurred after you divorced?
My wife didn't have the same values. My ex-wife didn't have the same values as me. No.
And what caused y'all to divorce? Was it that difference in values, or?
The difference in values, yeah, because, naturally so. if somebody feels like they have these stricter values, right, it's going to make someone that has more liberal values feel oppressed. They start to become rebellious against those things. And you can never change someone. So that made a lot of friction. You see, it was weird because I was too fast in marrying her. And even my mom was like, Lee, what you doing, you know?
I remember you mentioned that you weren't finding what you wanted spiritually in the women in the States. You felt a lot of temptation. I know myself, along my spiritual journey, I've been to a lot of churches in the Atlanta area, and I noticed a lot of the same thing, where it almost seemed like it was a mini harem for the preachers, and the women who were attending were, they didn't seem like they were of the best repute. They, dressed scantily clad, which is fine, right? It's fine if that's how you want to be, but in line with, at least Christian values, it kind of seemed like that was not, it was incongruent. So has that been your experience ultimately?
It's been my experience. I went to a church where I did have a friend that was kind of my ideal, but it just didn't work out in terms of how we clicked. And so outside of her and someone else that I talked to, which was in another country, Canada anyway, right, really close to her Jamaican roots, looking around me, I couldn't find it. Just what you said, I just couldn't really, I didn't see it. It wasn't easy. I went on dating sites, Christian dating sites, and I just always felt everywhere I looked, felt like compromise to me,
So was a lot of that dating before or after your first marriage?
That was after.
After. And your ex-wife, did she share the similar values?
We went to the same church, but in terms of values, no. I found out this is what was interesting about that one. Because she was more quiet in the beginning, right? My ex-wife. And I didn't sleep with her until we got married. I didn't find out until after we got married because there was a lot of assumption. Oh, we're in the same church. She listens to the same sermons I do. I thought maybe she had the same morals as I do. I didn't find out until after we got married that she was wondering if I was really into her because I didn't have sex with her. So her view and what she was used to was, well, that's what makes a guy interested in me, is him wanting to have sex with me. So I was like, wow, you didn't tell me that you were worried if I was liking you or interested in you or not until after we got married, that sex was how you knew that. So I was kind of not looking at the signs, wasn't I?
So what ultimately caused y'all to get divorced?
I believe that my wife needed healing because she had a lot of abuse in her life. And I personally didn't know how to handle the trauma because I think that what happens is if someone has had a lot of abuse and they haven't healed from it, if they get with someone who shows a little more leeway than like a dude that'll just beat her up, that stuff will come out. And I had to deal with that a lot, bro, like a lot of drama. And eventually I became a monster myself. Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, so I don't know how to make this silent. It's not my fault. So eventually, after dealing with a lot of that drama, I started to not be able to tolerate it anymore. I became cold. And then, she cheated on me and then I left.
Okay. Was your wife black?
No.
What
She was
she?
Mexican.
Mexican. Was she first generation or like did she immigrate herself?
Oh no, her mom was first generation, and she had. Her mom was from Mexico, and she was the firstborn out here.
So she spent most of her formative years in the States.
Oh yeah, all of it.
Okay, because it's
no. I think she came here when she was like 4 or something like that.
But ultimately, what the place that she shaped was in the U.S., which is interesting because a lot of people go to places like the DR, Colombia, Mexico, because generally those Latin American countries have more traditional values compared to the United States. But it seems like by growing up in the U.S., whatever values her mom might have been bringing to the house kind of got superseded by, her environment. So your wife now, I'm assuming she has much more of those traditional values.
Oh yeah.
And how does that play into the roles that you guys have in the household?
Those roles are playing out like right now though, because she's pregnant with twins. I step up to the plate. I do a lot of cooking and everything, as much as I can. But generally, she likes to I remember, because I grew up kind of like individual, like independent, from my mom, because I didn't grow up with a father. I'll wash dishes, I'll do all that stuff, and I'll get up and wash the dishes. But it just felt so different. No, I got the dishes. No, I'll do it. I'm like, are you sure? It's just like I'm not used to it. And she likes to take care of the home. She wants to build it and cultivate it and make it a place that's welcoming for me to come into.
Was that something you experienced in your previous marriage?
No, not at all.
No, not at all. So were you the primary breadwinner in your previous marriage, and you still had to do the cooking, the cleaning, all that stuff?
But not as much cleaning because I'm not the clean and laundry. But yeah, I did a lot of the cooking, getting the groceries and all that stuff like that. And, I did most of that stuff. Well, we shared it, but it was mostly me doing the cooking.
Did your ex-wife work? Did you have children?
We didn't have any children. She had a stepson. She worked part-time at a bank. Yeah.
So she split her time between raising your stepson and working.
Yeah, pretty much. At the age that he was, I think that once kids become like 11 and 10 and stuff, they end up going outside to play most of the day anyway. They come home and then you do their homework with them, but it wasn't anything like that was taxing to her because I did the same thing.
And what was your wife's educational background like?
She didn't have much of an education.
High school,
college?
But
she dropped out of high school.
She dropped out of high school. And what about your wife now?
My wife finished high school. She doesn't have a college education.
Does she pressure you or do either of you feel the need to level her up per se by having her attend college or do something else?
I don't feel that. I wonder, I should ask her if she feels a pressure about becoming more fluent in English, because that wasn't something that she feels where she attended school was a strong teaching there. And so when she comes to America, she could use that, right? That's about it. I don't feel any pressure in any way. I don't think she feels any pressure. I don't have any high expectation of her to get any college education because, nowadays you can make a lot of money different ways.
Yeah, I myself, I only have an associate's degree, but I'm a security engineer. Plenty of software developers are self-taught. You're obviously doing well enough that, you're here, you're taking care of your wife. So college isn't necessarily a necessity. But, in the U.S., I know a lot of black women feel that if they're uneducated, they aren't going to necessarily provide as much value to a potential mate, or they're selling themselves short. Your wife, she doesn't feel that way at all?
No. I don't want to, look, let me be 100. I believe that God has given man the grace and insight to cast vision. And without vision, people cast off restraints. That's why there's a high percentage of crime amongst fatherless homes, right? And so my wife lets me own that role to cast vision. And if that vision doesn't require her to get an education, and she believes in the vision, right? And it involves finances and it involves community and home, right? And we feel like, yeah, we like this. It's not just my wife like, okay, that's fine. No, it's like, yeah, I'm into that. That's what I believe. Then who cares about that college education thing? Who cares? As a matter of fact, you can cut this if you want to cut it or not. But the highest divorce rates are amongst college educated women. I'm not trying to say go get your college education, do your thing, you know what I'm saying? But there's a pride of knowledge that comes when you feel like you've earned your knowledge that doesn't allow you to humble yourself to a vision that your man may have. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, you know what I'm saying?
No, I completely understand.
You think I'm tripping?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Now, your current wife, she's Ugandan, black, obviously. Your ex-wife was Mexican. Was it intentional to marry a black woman, or was that kind of just, you just liked who you liked?
I like black women. I think that I see women and I'm like, oh, they're beautiful. That's beautiful. But black women, to me, I don't know, bro. They're just the most beautiful women in the planet, in my opinion, bro. I just love I think black women are beautiful. I'm drawn to black women, bro, because it just feels like it's another part of me.
And was that part of the reason why you were searching for someone in Africa?
I was drawn to African women because the more African women I chatted as friends. So let me just tell you this. So in social media, right, who I started having more conversations with and gravitating towards were African women because we shared a lot of the same values. But I told myself, nah, I don't want to go that far and do all that stuff because I don't want to do all the processes and all that mess. When I met my wife, though, it wasn't just me connecting to another good friend like the females that I have met that were from Africa. It was like, that's the whole fullness of everything I've been wanting right there. And so it just naturally went that way.
Okay. Now, have you traveled in other places in Africa?
Yeah.
Oh, where else?
I've been to Ghana.
Ghana? And what would you say is the difference between West Africans and East Africans?
West Africans, so like for example in Kenya, people are approachable, but they feel reserved when you go to talk to them. They don't, which is cool in a way. It kind of teaches me to not speak so much and be so out, but they're not as outspoken, and they're very mild-mannered. Also, even though it looks when you're going around here that people are hardworking, which I'm sure they are, it feels more slow in terms of their pace. In Ghana, it feels more fast-paced. For example, you may see in a busy area like one person or three people on the highway, selling something. You may see like a group of them, right? Not a lot. In Ghana, you can multiply that by like 5 or something, right? Because there's way more people walking around selling stuff on their heads, and people are actually buying from them, right? The employment rate is lower, and people are just more friendly.
Well, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're interested in supporting me further, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Real quick before you go, make sure you check out my intro video here and my most recent video here. Have a good one.